Let's solve this absolute value inequality. We have the absolute value of x plus 4 plus 2 is less than 10. And we want to graph the solution on the number line and express the solution in interval notation. All right, so remember, it is an inequality, right? So I mean, we do have two sides, right, to this inequality. We have the left side and the right side. First thing we always want to do is we want to isolate the absolute value expression, right? We want to get this absolute value of x plus 4 by itself. Well, what does that mean then, right? We have to essentially move this 2, okay? We want to move the 2 over to the right side. Okay? How are we going to do that, though? Using the property of equality, we're going to subtract 2 to both sides. Okay? It does cancel out the 2's on the left, so we get the absolute value of x plus 4 is less than 8. So what's the whole point of doing that? Right? Well, because the absolute value is by itself now, right? From this point, we can set up our two different equations. So when we say two different equations, it's because the absolute value represents two different scenarios, right? We got the positive 8, okay? But it also represents the distance from 0, so it can also be on the negative 8 side, okay? So we got x plus 4, which is less than 8. But then we also have to consider, well, what about if we're less than negative 8, right? But remember, because essentially we're multiplying this by a negative, right? The golden rule for inequalities is if you multiply by a negative, you have to switch the direction of the inequality. So we get x plus 4 is greater than negative 8. And make sure you take a look at these to understand how from here, right, we get these two different equations. So let's go ahead and subtract the 4, right? We're going to isolate x, so we get x is less than 4. And what do we get in this case? We get x is greater than negative 12. Well, what happens now, right? Well, we certainly should be able to sketch this on the number line, right? We have 4, we got negative 12. Notice in this case, x is less than 4. Okay? So we're going to denote the value of 4 with an open circle, and then we're going to go to the left, because we want all values of x that are less than 4. What about for negative 12, right? A negative 12 will also do an open circle, but then we need to go to the right. You notice that in this example, the arrow is essentially pointing towards each other. So that means that everything in the middle is going to be a solution. Okay, everything in the middle is going to be a solution. So what is the answer in interval notation? It's everything from negative 12 with the parentheses, right, because of the open circle, up till 4. And this is the answer in interval notation. So any value of x between negative 12 and 4 is going to be a solution to the original inequality.